Well, he's the new voice of the High Limit Sprint Car Series, and he will be the person who will be having the call when they take on the national scene in 2024. We're talking about Chase Raudman, about the story, how that became, and what his thoughts are of the upcoming 2024 season for the High Limit Group. That is coming up next on the Getting Up to Speed podcast after these messages. Dave's Home Supply specializes in cabinets, flooring, and countertops. Visit their website at daveshomesupply.com to look at products, services, financing, and even a free estimate. Are you looking for bookkeeping, payroll, or income tax services? Then check out the folks at For You Simple Bookkeeping. They are a licensed tax preparer throughout the entire United States. For more information, click on the link in the description. Well, he's a returning guest to the Getting Up to Speed podcast, and he is the new full-time announcer for the High Limit Sprint Car Series. We're talking about Chase Raudman. And Chase, it's always great to catch up with you. It's always great to talk to you. And this interview, no doubt, is going to be another great installment.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Great to be back here on the podcast. You do a lot of them. I see them popping up on my YouTube feed all the time, and it seems like you got one coming out every day, so I like to see that. More content for dirt track racing. Love to see it, and once again, thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and thank you for the kind words. Of course, I always like, my mission in life is to spam Chase Raudman's YouTube feed, so I'm accomplishing something.
There you go.
But
it is working.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's just cut to the chase. Becoming the High Limit Sprint Car Series announcer, that no doubt is a major deal to not just you, but to the entire sprint car community.
Yeah, for me, it's still a surprise. It's still hard to believe that it's even a thing, to be quite honest with you. I didn't, think it was going to happen. I really was just kind of, planning on doing my same thing next year with the Outlaws and the pit reporting deal. And, I kind of put a small word in, and when I mean small word about as small as it can get, wasn't pushing the issue really at all. And, sometimes I guess that's the best way to do it, apparently. So, I know there was a couple guys in front of me that, were supposed to, they had it, lined up before me. But they weren't able to commit to the full season, or they had other commitments, or what have you, and put me in the prime spot. So it's still really, really crazy to think that I'm going to be announcing a national touring sprint car series next year. I'm a little bit nervous, to be quite honest with you, but excited for it. And I think the expectations are maybe a little bit lower because of the brand. It's basically brand new series, right? You can kind of make it into your own thing, which I'm excited about. So. Looking forward to getting going.
What's kind of cool is just the story of just a simple text going a long way, really.
Yeah, I mean, so basically it was just, I just basically texted Kyle Larson. I just said, hey, if you're looking for somebody, I'm not locked into any kind of contract or any kind of, deal that's, preventing me from going your way. Just kind of put it out there, and luckily, I didn't think any of it. It was like 2 months later when I actually got the call, so, and by the time those 2 months, by the time a month and a half came by, I was like, okay, well, it's probably not going to happen, and that's fine. I'm ready to go back and do my thing again. So, but then, I got a call from Mike Hess, I think the day after Thanksgiving or whatever. And, it was, like I said, it was very, very shocking, very surprising. And pretty crazy, man, that they are trusting me to be the voice of the series. I know how important an announcer is to not only a live broadcast, but to a series. It kind of gives the identity of the series. And I'm well aware of how important that is. So pretty crazy they're trusting me. And like I said, excited to get going. I've been building my playlist here for the last, almost every night for the last month or so. I feel like I've been on the computer until 2 o'clock in the morning, finding songs or, inputting driver information, things like that, just trying to get as prepared as I possibly can.
Well, that's super cool. Yeah. Cause there's times where, I'll be going down the road and I have just something on shuffle, just like a genre station. It's like, oh, that'd be a great shove off song. And then, no, that would be even better. That would be even better. And that's great that you're not like, oh, I just got the 3 same songs I'm going to play.
Right. Yeah. No, I actually downloaded this, what was it called? Sports Sounds Pro.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's like it was like $150, right? But well worth it because you can, you upload your song to it, and you can cut it and trim it down to the exact part when you hit play that you want it to be at.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really nice. If any other announcers are out there listening to this, I highly recommend getting it. Actually, Tony Laporta is the one that kind of showed it to me. So next year I'm going to have it, or not next year, but here next month, I guess it would be, going to have it on a tablet. So, as soon as I need to play a song or something for like a full line or whatever, just tap the screen and it starts playing it right when I want to. So that's going to be a huge help instead of trying to play it through my phone, and hopefully nobody calls me or texts me or whatever in the middle of the broadcast. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yep.
Well, and what was really cool is I hadn't heard this story until I heard it in another interview. Is we all go through that stage of crossroads, right? Of man, what does the future in this sport have for me? Because racing in general, sprint car racing, is very humbling for crew chiefs, teams, drivers, but it also is for personnel. Whether you're a tech guy, or you're an announcer, or you're a series promoter. One day you can be on the top of Everest, and the next year 20,000 feet under the Mariana Trench. And for your story of there were some times where it was, should I be doing this? Should I just go get some sort of regular job where there's security, or just continue to take the risk of being involved in racing as an announcer?
No, absolutely, man. I mean, there was a couple of years there where I was just like, man, I just don't think that there's any room for me to, have a actual job and live off of announcing races. I was doing USAC West Coast stuff there for a really long time, 3 or so years. Every now and again, I'd get to go do a decently, big event or whatever. But for the most part, man, I was just kind of driving a lot, putting a lot of miles in, not getting paid worth anything really. I mean, I was actually losing money a lot of the times to make it to races. And there for a bit, man, I was like really like almost over it. I was like, I'm going to school full time. I'm working a job full time, and then I'm trying to do this announcement thing on the weekends. And it's just it was a lot of work to get here. It wasn't like I just showed up one day and here I am. I've been doing this almost 10 years now. So yeah, it was a lot, but I'm glad I stuck it out. Obviously, I was actually on another show last night, and the guy asked me, if you were to tell an announcer, a young announcer, some advice, what would it be? And I just told him, like, stick it out, man, because you never know what can happen. I mean, look where I'm at now. I was just a regular guy. I still am just a regular guy, but
Sure.
now I'm announcing High Limit after, a lot of years of kind of second guessing myself.
Well, yeah, and you never know when that next race, it could just be just a normal show, gets to the right person that's listening, that has a great opportunity for you. And the analogy I always use is keep digging, because you never know, that next shovel could hit a payload.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you never know who's going to be listening to a race that you're calling, whether it's a YouTube highlight video, whether it's live on some kind of broadcast, or it doesn't even have to be flow or dirt vision, man. It could be fast four media. It could be, racing dirt, whatever. I don't even know all of them, but it could just be it could be iRacing, and somebody could hear you and be like, wow, hey, that guy's pretty good. I need to figure out who that is and get in touch with them. I want them to announce my series or whatever, right? So, like I said, I mean, you just got to keep going, and that's what I did. And I did as many races as I possibly could, whether it was on iRacing, whether it was real life, whether it was the micros or sprint cars or outlaw karts. We were doing everything we could, and not only because trying to get my name out there, but also because we needed some money, right? We were
Sure.
money helps a little bit every now and again, So, but yeah. So if there are any young announcers out there, man, just keep digging and hopefully everything works out for you. I know there's a lot of announcers out there, but you got to try and separate yourself, whether that's with your voice or with your race call or with the music you play, or I don't know. You got to try and have your own little stick or whatever they say, and stand out from the rest.
Yes, yep, definitely. Currency is still the currency of the realm. That's for certain. And Yeah, and there's a lot of times we're not eating steak dinners and staying at the Ritz Carlton. So.
Yeah,
But
yeah, more like the days in. Yeah, the days
yeah,
in McDonald's.
exactly, exactly. But it's just one of those things where even though it may not be the biggest paying race in the world, you have to bring the same intensity as if it was $700 million to win, because you're kind of cheating yourself. And I mean, I don't know, this could be ultra critical, so by all means, feel free to correct me. You're also cheating the audience that's listening, because for those folks that came to watch their kid race in beginner box stocks, that's their great moment. And when somebody's taking it serious and is getting excited and motivated and making it intense, that's better than just, I don't care about these little guys, like I'm only here for one class kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, trust me when I say there's been moments that a lot of races where I'm like, man, these guys cannot stop crashing. These guys are, the track sucks or whatever. You got to try and make it the best you can. You obviously don't want to go overboard and be yelling and screaming for no reason, but,
Mm-hmm.
You got to try and make it the best you possibly can for the viewers. Like you said, you don't want to cheat them, make your, 100% right on that. So, yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. And, you got to think about all the people, bad mouthing you on Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff, saying that you suck. You got to try and take that. And I guess that'd be another thing I would maybe say is to maybe a young announcer, just don't pay attention to the stuff everybody's saying on
Mm-hmm.
Twitter and Facebook, right? If they were able to do what you're doing, they'd be doing it, right? You're in a position to be able to do it, and they're sitting at home on their couch watching and talking shit, So hopefully this isn't too much of a family show, but that's what I would think is a good thing to say is just don't pay attention to the haters, right? You just got to go do your own thing and just try and ignore all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think Cristiano Ronaldo said it best, as your love motivates or supports me, your hate motivates me, kind of thing. But
there you go.
So that's the broken down summarized version. But no, I mean the High Limit series, they kind of started off in what would have been 21 with, just or no, 22 with just a single race, and then 22 expanded it. Kind of like a slow build up, right? Now there's a full-blown national series, and they're literally going from one end of the country to the next. And the roster is looking quite impressive with some notable names on there. And boy, I tell you what, there was, and I'm not saying that it's over, but like there was about a month or so where it's like, holy Toledo, like there's something new coming out every single day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there was some big surprises in there for sure, and it was hard to try and keep a lot of them secret. I didn't know all of them, obviously, but it was tough to keep a lot of them a secret, especially the Rico one. When I heard about Corey Day, I was like, wow, that is bonkers that he is making the jump. Obviously, we all thought that he was going to be doing a thing where he had to finish high school and then he'd go as a full-time driver, but apparently they really like that charter system, right? And they're trying to make something of it. They're trying to get one of those charters, and they're going to make everything work that they can. Obviously, splitting between two cars. I think he's running like 25 races in the Clausen Marshall car, and then the other rest of them in that the other 14 cars. So, but yeah, it's the roster is, in my opinion, it is very, very, very much comparable to the Outlaws. Obviously, there's more cars with the High Limit, but when it comes to talent that can win every single night, I would say they are very, very equal. And you can maybe, I don't know if you can give the edge to High Limit. I think it's just super, 50-50 right now. And I don't know if we're even done with announcements, right? What's the Roth cars going to do? Is there going to be a Crouch Motorsports 11? Where do they go?
Yeah.
So there's still more announcements yet to come. I mean, heck, Tanner Thorson decided he wants to run.
Yeah.
And will we see anybody else like that decides, hey, I'm going to go race, right? I mean, Thorson, he's not exactly a guy that's got a ton of experience when it comes to the wing stuff. I mean, he does, obviously, but he doesn't have, I don't think he's ran more than 30-something wing races in a single season, but he's a great addition, a Chili Bowl champion. The guy is a gasser. I think he gives 110% every lap, whether he's in second place or, 14th place. And I think he's a great addition to the series. But, yeah, man, it's going to be so exciting to see who – I think, what I'm most excited about, Ben, to be honest with you, is the charter deal. Who are going to be the top 5 guys? I think that's going to be almost a bigger story than the points championship.
Well, sure, and that's one of the things where it seemed like that attracted a lot of guys to say, "Hey, we'll give it a try. We'll see what we can do here." And it's going to be interesting because it's so different, and it's kind of shaking the game up a little bit.
Yeah, it certainly has, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Outlaws came out with something somewhat similar to try and keep their guys around. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. A guy like David Gravel, I feel like David Gravel on his YouTube show has had so many guys that run with High Limit on there, and he just it feels like he's always talking about High Limit.
Mm-hmm.
I think he almost is kind of like sad that he's not running.
Sure.
Obviously, he really, really wants that Outlaw Championship, but he sees the potential value in one of those charters. He sees all the newness going on, and maybe that's kind of the reason I would be thinking that is he sees all these guys switching over and a lot of hype behind High Limit and things like that, and that could be why I'm saying that. But man, I think a lot of those Outlaw guys like Carson Macedo, I think that they were thinking about it for a long time before they chose Outlaws. Right? It was very, very enticing, and obviously they can go next year and try and do it, But this year's obviously going to be really, really interesting, but almost 2025, man, I could see that being interesting as well. They see how the season goes, they see how the 60 races goes, and then who from then either goes from Outlaws to High Limit or High Limit to Outlaws, right?
Sure.
There's going to be a lot of movement next year, I think.
Well, and what's interesting, though, is looking at it at a historical aspect. This isn't the first time where there's been two national series. There was, 89 with the USA deal, which was pretty much a one-year deal, and obviously 2006 was a one-year deal with the National Sprint Tour. We've never really seen anything kind of flourish and play out for multiple seasons. That's going to be, I think, really a big question mark of where is this going to go? How's it going to change? This, with some of the things that could happen, could change a lot of things. And I think change it in good ways. At least I would hope so. And I really think it will be. That's what I think I'm really looking forward to. And kind of, as you said, 25, even 26 too, of, okay, now it's survived the first year. It's not just a flash in the pan sort of deal, because I get the sense that all the people involved with High Limit Racing this isn't just a temporary pet project that we're just going to see what happens. And when we lose interest, it's going to go away. This is something I think they're investing for the long haul, so to speak.
Yeah, I've heard that Flo has got a 5-year plan kind of laid out for the series. So, and they're going to go more than 2 years, unlike the other two series, because they promised that charter thing in 2026. So that's at least 3 seasons there. And if they can get all the big names and they can, keep the hype going and change the game like they're talking about, I could see this being around for a long time. I think there's definitely room for 2 national series, but there's just a lot to be excited about right now in sprint car racing. Whether you're a driver, you're a fan, you're an announcer, whatever it is, right? There's just so much to look forward to, and there's going to be so much good racing, right? All year long. I love the High Limit schedule. It's mostly, I would say, 80% small racetracks, and a lot of places I've never been before that I've heard good things about. So, there's just a lot to look forward to in sprint car racing right now, and I feel like its trajectory as far as popularity goes is really on a steep incline among all racing fans. It's just gaining more and more traction right now.
Well, and I think we're seeing a bit of a trickle-down effect, too, in the sense of you've got the Fast Series expanding in the state of Ohio. You've got the Maverick Series launching in Indiana to kind of develop some talent in that part of the country. And then the MSTS, which is traditionally a 360 series, they're going to be having some 410 shows. So that'll cover, South Dakota, Nebraska, and that part of region of the country. So that means we potentially got more teams going, especially in Indiana and with the MSTS. We're seeing new 410 teams coming out, which in the end will, supply and supplement when a national series goes through. More cars means there's more money available. You would hope that, there'd be some increases in purses. And I think we said it last year about this time in our interview. It's a great time to be a sprint car fan as well as a sprint car team.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I see a lot of people on Facebook saying that, this new series is ruining the local teams and the local racers and all this stuff. And I don't really agree with that. Maybe I don't really see it from that side of things, so maybe I'm completely clueless, but I just don't see how it is going to hurt very much, especially like you said, with all these new series coming in like Maverick, and helping out and kind of filling those gaps in. You know, you got Fast obviously taking care of Ohio Sprint Speed Week. And I just think that all those gaps that everybody's talking about have been filled by different series or what have you, you know. So there ain't going to be too much to worry about. I think people are kind of just doing what they normally do, and they're jumping to conclusions. You know, we've seen that a lot in the past, obviously. So, yeah, I think we're all going to be fine. I think sprint car racing's in a really good place right now. And if you listen to all the drivers that are talking about this in interviews, man, they say the exact same thing. So I think I'm going to listen to drivers and car owners more than, you know, Bob, Tim, and Larry on Facebook, you know?
Yeah. And I think, you know, it's just one of those deals where when something like this has happened in the past, it's kind of shooken up the status quo, right? And taking things out of the comfort zone. And I think that this is taking things out of the comfort zone potentially, if all done right by all parties involved, and that is a national to regional to local level, that this is going to take the sport of sprint car racing to possibly the greatest heights that it's ever seen. You know, I'm not Babe Ruth calling a home run, but at the same time, like, how, if this works properly, this is no doubt going to be very, very beneficial, I think, for the future of the sport, which we all have to keep in mind.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I mean, high limit, it's going to be good for the Outlaws, right? And I don't know if people really understand that, but I think it is going to be good. The Outlaws are good for high limit, and high limit's good for the Outlaws. And all that other stuff, you know, take all that stuff, and it's good for the local scene when those big series come through and they can step their game up, right? If a guy runs Maverick all year and, you know, he's racing against the same 5 guys, but when when one of those big series comes through, then he kind of knows, hey, my program, I got to step it up here in this department, and you hope that after a couple trips through with those big series, he gets his car in the right spot. Maybe then that guy can make his way onto a national series or kind of expand his schedule a little bit more. And then sure enough, you're getting more and more guys making their way into one of either high limit or the Outlaws. And, you know, I got no grudges against the Outlaws, man. I grew up watching the Outlaws. I've been to a lot of races for them, obviously, and I got no hate towards them. I think people kind of think that I hate the Outlaws now, but that's just not the case. They employed me for 3 years, and I had a lot of good times along the way, and I hope that they have success, because if they don't, I feel like that's a really big problem. If the Outlaws aren't around, they're the biggest name, the most recognizable name in all of sprint car racing, and they probably will be for a long time, you know, and if they go away or whatever, I think that's a bad thing for the sport. So we want to see both sides succeed here throughout this whole thing.
Well, Chase, I know that you're busy with you're living on Tulsa time right now, getting ready for the Chili Bowl Nationals. So I don't want to keep you too much, but I'm sure that you've been taking in a lot of hockey lately and getting your fill.
Oh yeah. We were at a game 2 nights ago. Columbus Blue Jackets versus Minnesota Wild. It was a great game, and unfortunately the Jackets lost in overtime, but at least there was some free hockey to watch. That's what we call overtime, is free hockey. You don't pay for that, you know.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they ended up losing there. But I got to see my first in-person hat trick. I threw a hat from row 98. It didn't make it anywhere near the ice. Hit some guy in the head, and we never saw it again. But it was still fun to be there for it.
Nice. Well, yeah, I can tell you this. We were watching. I'm staring at an Airbnb with the IMCA TV crew. And we're some of them are huge hockey fans from the Dakotas, so we were watching Red Wings and Anaheim Ducks, and I was cheering for the Ducks. So I was just at Disneyland, and it's just basically across the 5, and that was pretty entertaining to watch too. So I'm slowly but surely starting to be drawn into the Canadian stick fight sport. So.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, if you're listening to this, you don't watch hockey. You need to. I don't watch any other sport. They don't even remotely interest me. Hockey it's got it all, man. It's got speed, it's got fighting, it's got, incredible players doing incredible things out there, and it's all on ice. Yeah. That's what people kind of forget. It's like everybody else, I can go run around a football field, a soccer field, and a baseball field, but put ice skates on it, and I literally would fall over in 5 seconds. And these guys are doing, over 20 miles an hour on those things.
Sure.
And it's just crazy. I love it, and I could talk about it all day, to be honest with you.
Well, and what's really cool is so many people that I've been coming in contact with across the country, whether it's drivers or promoters or even, crew members, I'm at Knoxville or on my podcast or in California or at Red Bluff, it seems like hockey is just becoming a hot topic. It's got to be one of the fastest growing sports for spectators watching in the United States.
Yeah, I saw a thing the other day it was like a poll of like 4,000, quote unquote millennials, and I think hockey, out of all they had like 20 things on there. I think it was like 6th or 7th place or something among like all the big sports and things like that. So, yeah, that's cool to see. And it does feel like, and I don't know, maybe this is just because I've been paying attention to it more, but it just feels like it's more prominent than I ever remember it being. So
Sure.
That's pretty cool.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we appreciate the time that you're able to take with this, Chase, and we'll try and catch up with you at some points through the course of the year to maybe give us some updates. But I did want to point out that you've been doing a really good job on your YouTube channel, and so for listeners or viewers that don't know, Chase does have a YouTube channel. We'll be sure to put a link in it in the description. In that, you've been kind of doing some number breakdowns things for some of the full-time high-limit drivers.
Yeah, no, I just was kind of bored at home, right? I mean, I had a little bit of a side gig going on. I was working at UPS for a couple of weeks during the peak season, and then that kind of came to an end. And I just needed something to do, So bought a whiteboard and started breaking down, the seasons in the past couple of years for all the drivers running with high limit. I'm going to be posting another one here in about an hour or so. But yeah, I was kind of surprised. It seemed like everybody really liked it. It's just some guy with really bad handwriting on a whiteboard talking in front of a cell phone that's held up by his cat's scratch tower, So
Yeah.
It seems like it's people are being very receptive to it. So we're going to keep going. We've got about, I think, another 8 or so drivers, unless somebody else gets announced. But we've got 8 more to do,
Okay.
and we'll be posting them all week long here.
Perfect. Well, awesome. Well, enjoy your time at the Chili Bowl Nationals. Stay safe and don't get too rowdy there, and we'll be talking soon.
All right, Ben. Sounds good, man. Thanks for having me on.
This episode is a production of Highside Racing Promotions. Be sure to like the YouTube as well as Facebook page and like these videos. The more likes and the more attention it gets, and we would like to get as much information out to the racing community. Whenever or wherever you're watching these episodes, we hope that you enjoyed them